get him all on B here. Oh!
Welcome back, Guardians, to another Destiny 2 Dream Team video. I'm your humble host, Cranky Crab, and today we're going to look at an alpha build that we're calling the Chimera build. Now, this is a build that's capable of supplying the flanking and CQC pressure of an alpha build, while also supplying the support and suppression of a gamma build. So we've married two distinct playstyles into one build. So what is this build? Well, every alpha needs a breaching tool, and for the Hunter class, I found that invisibility is the best breaching tool. It allows me to close the distance on opposing players without their knowledge. The key to this build is the melee ability, Vanish and Smoke. And everything in this build revolves around supporting that melee. In case you're not familiar with the subclass, I'm using the Way of the Pathfinder or Bottom Tree Nightstalker. Vanish and Smoke gives you invisibility and Heart of the Pack. Heart of the Pack is described as weapon haste, which is essentially increased weapons handling. And it increases your mobility, recovery, and resilience. Now, by how much, I'm not sure, but you're getting 5 separate buffs from one ability. Normally, you get 7 seconds of invisibility, but with this build, we're getting 9 seconds because we're using the Graviton Forfeit Exotic Helmet. The extra 2 seconds of invisibility doesn't sound like much, but in a game with sub 1 second kill times, 2 seconds can mean a lot. But that isn't the most important benefit of the Graviton Forfeit. The perk Vanishing Shadow also grants increased melee recharge rate, so while you're invisible, your melee recharges faster. Now I'm running 100 strength with this build, and taking advantage of the new armor mod Radiant Light so I can get that extra 20 strength. With 100 strength and Graviton Forfeit, my melee recharge is at roughly 80% by the time my 9 seconds of invisibility runs out. I've almost got my melee completely back by the time that the invisibility runs out. But we're not stopping there. In the kinetic slot, we're running Monte Carlo. The perk on Monte Carlo states dealing damage with this weapon reduces melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. Not to mention, Monte Carlo is essentially a 600 RPM auto rifle with swashbuckler, so you've got that extra lethality. And the trait Markov Chain not only gives you this swashbuckler effect, but it refills the melee charge. So when you combine all of this, you have invisibility on demand. Now, I use a CQC Seraph shotgun in the energy slot for the boost to speed and that one-shot kill ability once I've closed the distance. And while this is very clearly an alpha build, it's also a gamma build. Gamma builds offer support and suppression. The Monte Carlo is a great suppression tool like any other AR. It gives you that automatic fire and can keep enemies from freely entering an area. But the support aspect also comes from the smoke grenade, as it not only grants you invisibility and Heart of the Pack for yourself, but also to any teammate in the proximity of your smoke grenade. You can literally make your whole team invisible and buffed. So with this melee ability on demand, I can make myself or any of my teammates invisible for 9 seconds, give them increased weapon handling, increased resilience, increased mobility, and increased recovery for 20 seconds. This is an alpha build that not only says, hey, follow me into battle and I'll put pressure on the enemy to make your job easier, I'll take the majority of the aggression. It also says, by the way, let me give you the same advantages I have. This is the first and only alpha support build we've ever created, and it's exceptionally powerful. And finally, don't forget that this subclass has the lockdown perk, which makes your grenade effects last twice as long. Whichever grenade you choose is going to last twice as long. And the perk combat provision gives you more melee energy when you damage enemies with your grenade. So you have a longer lasting grenade that is also feeding right back into your melee energy. And finally, making allies invisible grants you grenade energy. So there's so much synergy in this subclass, one thing constantly feeding the other, and your neutral game is basically available to you at all times. So as far as tactics go, the way I use this build is pretty obvious. I just exploit my invisibility frequently. If you've got it, use it. And with 9 seconds of invisibility, I can use my smoke grenade before I even have signatures on my radar. And with a lightweight shotgun, I can run so fast that I can cross the map in no time. I usually get contacts while I'm still invisible, and I initiate that contact on my terms with all of my advantages. And remember, I've got Heart of the Pack for 20 seconds. I have increased stats that help me win gunfights after I've already started at an advantage because they don't even know I was there. All the standard alpha tactics apply, but you have this incredibly powerful melee grenade to buff those tactics. So is there any downside? Well, the weakness of this build is the super. And I think this is why more people don't use this class. The super's not going to slay out, and typically that's necessary for an alpha build. Part of what an alpha does, the main thing an alpha does, is contribute to the team by getting a high kill count. And this super is not going to assist you in that regard. But the super isn't terrible. And this is, again, where the gamma aspects of this build come out. This super can shut down other supers. The tether ability is very short range, and it suffers the same slow activation that the top tree Way of the Trapper has, but this has an even shorter effective radius. The Way of the Trapper is going to reach out a lot further to grab players and to grab supers than this will. But you can just shoot them with it. And you have up to 6 shots with this super, so if you could pull it off, you can get 6 kills with it. When I'm using this super, I try to get direct hits with it. It's not easy because the animation's slow and it causes you to drift, which can throw off your shots, but I find that it's important to not spam your shots. I'll usually fire one, and if I don't get a direct hit, I can re-engage with my guns. Or, if the tether traps a player, I can just finish them with my guns. And that's the thing to remember about this super. Unlike any other super, you can fire it and switch right back to fighting with your guns, and then switch right back to your super as needed. You've got 6 shots and you've got a timer. I like to think of it like Top Tree Golden Gun, but with the ability to use my weapons in between my super shots. Another thing you can do with this super is use it preemptively to cut off escape routes. So if you know you're going to use your super, shoot the first shot or two where the exits are to an area so that your enemies can't just run away without getting caught. Then launch your remaining shots directly at them. You'll either hit them or tether them and finish them with your guns. And remember that killing tethered enemies grants the Heart of the Pack buff to you and to nearby allies. And it stacks. So if you kill 2 or more tethered enemies, the Heart of the Pack buff will stack up to 3 times. So the super isn't bad, it just doesn't slay out like some others do. But this build isn't about the super, it's about the neutral game. And this subclass has an insane neutral game. This build is powerful as a standalone, but if you partner up with a teammate, particularly a strong beta, and you can give them these benefits, your beta will slay the F out. In fact, Meeson has been using a Hunter class beta build that I'm sure he'll detail in the near future, and running these 2 builds together is one of the strongest front lines I've ever seen. So give it a try. Like anything, with time you'll improve your use of these tools, but these tools are consistent, powerful, and off meta, which is something I find a lot of fun in exploring. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more unique builds and learn some of the Wolfpack tactics we use in the Crucible, drop us a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe. We're a small channel of friends, and every comment, like, and subscription really helps us grow, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.